All right. Let me bring this volume down under control, and we can fix our screen here to... Blip. There we go. Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I'm going to be running a playtest campaign for new kaiju mecha mechanics to use in Spelljammer, D&D 5e24 rules. And we are in the process of building an asteroid belt cluster for our heroes to navigate among. And we're going to be looking at the moons of Eberron in orbit around the planets. And we're going to begin fleshing out each of the settlements and the colonies that the characters are overseeing as part of the adventure structure of the Bastion system, of them basically governing and ruling, that the players are governing and ruling these different settlements as societies, kind of like Civ 5, you know, like the Civilization video games, in that they'll have the ability to upgrade and improve facilities and like the type of materials that are being harvested at each of the settlements and population growth, etc. And then the other side of it is like XCOM, where each of the settlements have a chance of having some sort of event happening that will warrant the character's attention, but they can only deal with one thing at a time. So what do they want to prioritize? What do they want to try to hold off and get to later on? They'll be able to set the pace of what they want to prioritize and then what they want to leave basically allocated to NPCs or henchmen that the characters have developed as part of the different settlements. Like if they have a garrison at one farming community that gets attacked by scavers, for instance, then that garrison of soldiers can, basically as an ability check, try to resolve the attacking scavers and see if they're able to defend them off with basically it's a basic ability check. But if the characters decide that if the characters are within range and they decide they want to handle it, then fighting the scavers becomes a combat scenario that the characters can then actually go in and navigate with their Gundam mechas, fighting giant space sharks to protect the community from being attacked. So either the characters are there and they can engage and attack the monsters, or if they can't get to the threat, they can then allocate it as an ability check to see if the settlement is able to hold off the threat on their own with a stacked DC system that we have already developed in the Bastion mechanics. So before I get into the thick of it, if you find this stuff is cool, I do game design like this on Mondays and Thursday nights. I'll be doing playtest prep for the Martial Power System Saturday mornings, and then every week, Monday through Friday in the morning, I do artwork for the books that I publish on the DMsGuild. For folks that want to check out my stuff, here is a bunch of books that I've created on the DMsGuild that are both my ideas and my artwork. So they all have free previews. Be welcome to check them out. For this here's the actual campaign workbench that we're currently working on that we have here. And we also have a document that you can read along in if you want the Kaiju and Constructs Eberron Spelljammer Bastion Campaign. These are all the different mechanics that we're using inside the game. That workbench is right here. The Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that I published on the DMsGuild is now updated for 2024 rules and includes a robust preview for folks that want to check this thing out. If you want to purchase it, God bless you, but I want people to take a look at it and see what it can do. And I don't know what that's all about. There we go, get rid of that. But yeah, this is the Spelljammer book that I built that allows us to create mecha and mega kaiju to act as threats and to increase the size of characters from their 5-foot space to the 50-foot or even 500-foot scale, depending on what type of vehicles and Gundam that they eventually gain control over. And so yeah, you can check this out. And then the Bastion Campaign system that we're using, that is actually linked right here. And we're going to be using this to develop the different settlements later on today, once we get through processing the moons. And here is the the Warforged Machine. I need to change that name to Kaijus and Constructs, which is another book that you can find linked. Where is that linked? There we go. Spelljammer, Kaijus, and Constructs. This is where we have the mechanics for building giant monsters, as well as building giant-sized mech suits that the characters can fight these giant monsters in throughout space. Thanks a lot to new subscribers that we have since we were here last on Monday. I really appreciate folks that are taking an interest in this. And I guess without further ado, we're going to dive into the Workbench. And we're just gonna play with stuff for a while. So here's where I'm organizing my thoughts right now. So bear with me. The idea is that we have Eberron, and I can hear myself, so I need to turn down my volume a smidge. There. I want to keep it open so I can keep an eye on if I'm live or not, or if it dies. But I don't want to make it so loud that it echoes myself. But here is a very basic, inaccurate map of Eberron and the 12 moons that are in orbit around it. That's a very simple way of looking at it. A more accurate depiction is if each square equals 10,000 miles. This is the distance. And again, we have here numbers 1 through 12. Like, for example, number 3 is 10, 20, 30, 40,000 miles away. Actually, 39,000 miles, close enough. This is Theurgy, which is, in my Eberron, because everyone's Eberron is different. In my Eberron, the moons aren't physical locations. They're portals that lead to the other plane of existence. And when the moon is full, the gate is open, and then creatures from that plane can now enter wild space or cyberspace around Eberron. Otherwise, it becomes less and less likely. It's a 0% chance when the moon is new, and as it grows in size to fullness, it becomes a higher and higher chance that monsters are able to leave that plane and then enter the wild space system that the players occupy. And we were looking at so this is there we go. This is the distance from each other in 10,000 miles squares, and we were playing with the speeds of the Eberron ships, and I think I want to reduce them. I had them at 100,000 miles per 24 hours, which roughly breaks down to 5,000 miles per hour. So each square in the system map that we were developing here, each of these squares could be 1 hour of travel. It's like 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 25, 30,000, or 100,000 miles. But if these are the scale of 100,000 miles, then that means these distances for the moon are shorted by a scale of 10. So what I need to do instead is to keep that tempo of being able to move 1 square per day, I have to reduce the maximum speed of the ships to 10,000 miles per 24 hours, which is reduced down to about 500 miles per hour, which is about supersonic speed. So that's faster than what you would assume an airship would normally be able to do, but it's nothing compared to what actual Spelljammer ships are supposed to be able to do, which is 100 million miles per day. I'm slowing it down because the scale of cyberspace and the distance of moons from each other warrants a slower scale. So I want to respect that and adhere to that. But what I'm finding interesting is that, so if we have each of these squares, this zone is supposed to be, each one of these squares is a day of travel. So this is the location where the hometown of the adventure is taking place, inside this air cluster, and then there's another air cluster over here, and there's another air cluster over here, and another one here, and these are fresh air zones that have enough life and inhabitants to be able to create an abundance of air that's breathable air. But these zones in between these archipelagos, there's not enough vegetation to be able to create fresh air, so we call it the fouled sea. If you fly into this space, it's poisonous. And that means that it's fouled air, which means that your characters are effectively poisoned while they're inside of it. So everything's at disadvantage using the 5e24 rules. If you're poisoned, all your d20 checks are at disadvantage. So while you're in the fouled sea floating from one location to the next, your characters are literally disadvantaged at everything while they make that 1 to 3 day trip for a 3-day trip through the fouled sea to get to the next archipelago. And all the creatures that exist in wild space are immune to the effects of the wild sea. So you're at disadvantage. The monsters aren't. So it automatically creates more of a challenge for your characters. We were looking at this as a single structure, these as hostile settlements, and this being an allied settlement. This being an allied settlement, this being a hostile settlement. And since we're using the framework of Eberron to frame this campaign, I'm thinking that these are pirate bases, like the Lazar pirates. I'm thinking these are, there's what, I think there's 8 pirates of Lazar. So I'm going to roll a d8 to see which of the piracies it is that's going to be in this region. Oh, maybe I'm going to be asking my Oracle dice a lot of questions today. And again, for those who aren't familiar, I have a video about it on my channel if you want to look at the videos. But Oracle dice, for me, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's basically a magic 8-ball. So I have 2 dice. The first die, when I ask a question, it's a yes or no question. And the answer, I always frame it in a yes, in a frame of, is this true? And the number that I roll on the first die determines how likely is it to be true. And you roll the same number or above. So if I roll a 1, it's guaranteed to be true, because you can't roll, you'll roll a 1 or above. So that's how it works. If I roll a 6, I have to roll on my answer die a 6. Otherwise, the answer isn't true. So if I roll a 1, it's automatically going to be true, but now the answer die scales on a scale of 1 to 6. How true is it? So if I roll a 1 on the question die, it's guaranteed to be true. But like if I roll a 1 on the answer die, it means that it was highly unlikely that it would be achieved, or it's being done incredibly poorly. But yes, the answer is true. If I had rolled a 6 instead, if I had rolled a 1 on my question die, it's guaranteed to happen, and then the 6 means that it is happening to the best results possible. For like for example, is there a bustling sheep community, like sheep herding community in this cluster? And if I rolled a 1, it's guaranteed. And if I rolled a 6, it's like, yeah, these are the Scotsmen of space. It's fantastic sheep herding. Well done, guys. Highly profitable. If the question was 6, then it's almost impossible that would happen. So I'd have to roll a 6 on the answer die for it to be true. And so it'd be kind of framed like, despite everything, yes, it is still happening. Like, it is highly unlikely that sheep would be able to exist in this cluster, but despite all of that, they do, which means that like there's got to be like sparse grass or whatever that would make it very unlikely that sheep would be able to be herded herded on this asteroid, but they've been able to, eke out a living doing that somehow. So, and then that becomes my narrative focus of it happened, but it's like hanging by a thread. So how do I want to express that? How do I want to create scenarios around these Eberron Scotsmen potentially losing their space sheep? Like, that becomes an ongoing threat because it was highly unlikely to happen. It's just barely hanging on. So I'll be asking Oracle dice throughout this all of these design streams to help fill in the answers, because I can do that both during prep, my DM homework of prepping the campaign, and I often use that while I'm actually running the game. When the players hit me with a question or an idea that I hadn't thought of and I need an answer, I'll just oracle it out, and I'll just start asking a bunch of yes or no questions to my dice. And at the end of the cascade of questions, I'll have an idea of what's going on in response to whatever their cockamamie question was. So, and that way, my prep and my actual in-game structure are the same. It's consistent. So I'm basically always prepping up the game. It's just the players are now introducing new ideas and questions and various systems of resolution. i.e. playing the game, to figure out how they're sculpting it and how the world responds to it. And then when I'm doing prep work, I'm basically consolidating, like, what did they do and how are they changing the world, so I know how the world is going to respond to them, and then come back to them in the next session. Like, here's how the world has updated itself. How do you want to proceed? And then they can start filing through all the. It's just, you're playing D&D. That's how role-playing games work. So if I'm looking at this, and each of these squares is 10,000 miles, like this cluster here is. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, this cluster is 16 squares wide. And if we go back over here and we look at this map, this is the string of moons that are in orbit around Eberron. And this goes out 25 squares. So, like, a good block, like that cluster I'm looking at, is probably like about that big on this galactic scale. I don't have to have the full orbit all around Eberron resolved, because ideally the team isn't going to be drifting too far away from home, because they're playing XCOM style, the defenders of their community in this 10,000 mile square in orbit, protecting it from monsters and invasion and blah blah blah. So what I think I want to do. Thank you, Timely Timer. Okay, so what I actually need to do right now is build out orbits. So I need to take this, and I need to. I think what I'm going to do is what I want to do is have orbital paths here for like this moon and this moon and this moon, and like build out these orbits. But, and so the moons are in orbit around the planet, but I think what I want to do is leave these asteroid clusters in, I know that like the rings of Saturn and Uranus, they rotate at various speeds, just like the moons move at various speeds. The closer the moon is to the planet, the faster it moves. The further away, the longer it takes to circle the orbit, to circle the planet. So instead of having the cluster of asteroids be in motion, like instead of tracking different speeds, like each day equals 3, like each square equals 2 days or something like that, and then I would move every 2 days, I would move all of these one square. That is a massive pain in the ass. I'm doing that in another campaign, and it's annoying. So what I want to do for this campaign instead that's different is I want to plot these orbits, and we have like all these gaps between them, like 2. Here we go. Like 2 and 3. Like this would be the lane, quote unquote, like the traffic lane that this planet sweeps through. So like if there was asteroids and dust and stuff like that, it would like get swept up by the moon that's going in orbit here. So any like, and these two are right next to each other like this, but now we have a gap here. And we have a gap here. So basically, like the living zones in orbit are basically going to be between these patches, like between these moons. It's like you're living your life over here, and occasionally moon number 8 and moon number 9 is going to pass in close proximity to you. So when these moons come by, those are potential events that are going to be created by these two planets. Like if these moons are full and they're passing by your community, there's a chance that monsters inside from that dimension come out of the portal to attack or negotiate with the community. And those can become unique Bastion events that are happening to your community at any given time. So each Bastion turn, we'll be looking at like what moons, and so if we have this cluster, I'll probably have to like for example, there's a stripe here going through. It's 10,000 miles, and we have a stripe here that goes through that's 10,000 miles. I could potentially use this and use this as like lanes to a planet, to moons in orbit. I could potentially have this be a moon lane, a moon path, that's crossing through this area, and whenever the planet enters the fresh air zone, that's when it could deploy monsters from another dimension or whatever to start looking at these communities. And this is the home community. This is the actual home cluster that the players live in, and these are other pockets. Like this is a pocket of asteroids. This is a pocket of asteroids that are hex crawl that are options for hex crawling into. This is a inhabited area with Lazar pirates. This is an occupied area with maybe pirates, maybe Droam or something like that. And this is like our community is going to be gnomes, dwarves, and Warforged, which is a unification between Zalargo, Moorhold, and the Children of Sire. So in my Eberron, all the Warforged are recycled souls of Syran Warlocks that made pacts with the gods of machines to create the Warforged, not knowing that their own souls would be used to create the Warforged sentient. They don't remember themselves when they get entered into the body of the Warforged. But in one of our campaigns, one of the players played a Warforged, and it was his epic goal to awaken the past of the spirits of the Warforged, and they discovered that it was sired that way. It was a 1 to 20 level campaign. It was like 6 years ago that we ran that. And ever since then, in my campaign, Warforged are aware of who they used to be. They'll either make it up, forget about it, or wear it on their sleeve. Like, I used to be the Prince of Sire, and now I'm a Warforged, and you're gonna have to take my word for it, I guess, or like do some heavy divine magic to verify that my memories are legitimate, and then they could recognize that. But the nation of Sire has been displaced. They don't have a home on Eberron anymore, so gnomes and dwarves went into orbit to start mining and developing mecha and machinery and take advantage of all the crazy magic that is out there to advance their cultures. Meanwhile, all the other nations followed behind them. It's now Droam and Dargoon, Corvair, Sarlona. These 4 nation states, they're all out there as well. And then the human nations, the dragon mark houses, like Irkaneth is out there. There's a few other dragon mark houses, and then the Silver Flame is out there. Karnath is out there. Thrain is out there. So all the different Corvarian nations, the Dargoon people, Sarlona. Yeah, and then the Zalargo Moorhold Siren Collective, which I don't have a better name for yet. It's just that's the alliance. So all the players are going to play either gnomes, dwarves, or Warforged, and humans, elves, half-elves, they're all looked at as rivals or enemies. So they all become like NPC monsters compared to the dwarves, gnomes, and Warforged that we're going to be playing as PCs, as player races. So the idea here is to take these clusters and put them out here into orbit. So I need to... So I think the first thing that I need to do is clean this up real quick here. Hold on. Thank you. Okay. Let's see so the way that I plan on doing it is having, again, the asteroid communities are going to be static. They aren't going to be moving. And then the moons will sweep through these asteroid clusters on their orbit, and again, when they're close to when they enter the atmosphere of these archipelagos, that's when potential monsters could storm out and create an invasion that has to be dealt with that week during that Bastion turn. Otherwise, they just pass by and no harm, no foul. So I want to create, and since they don't move, I can put these asteroids, like the only area I need to focus on right now is like this orbit here and here, like this quarter circle. This will be where I can put these asteroid clusters, and they can comfortably fit in here wherever I have space between between the orbits of the moons to not have smashed these these different communities out of the way. So we might have to rearrange these a little bit, but I'm going to see if I can drop these in and position them so like if a moon goes across like this, it hasn't hit any of these asteroids. So this is a stable way to put this cluster. Where on the map, when we build these out, where on the map can this actually fit? So that's going to be our task. So that means I only have to worry about this section of the orbit, but I have I have 3/4 that we aren't currently touching, and depending on the scope of the campaign, we can expand out like hex crawl style. We can extend out and explore different asteroid clusters that are in orbit around Eberron, getting out of the way of the moons when they swing by in their orbit, and the asteroids are all stable so they don't move. And we can then, so they become reliable for us to be able to map their locations, knowing that occasionally we're going to travel through the path of a moon, and if a moon is nearby, and depending on how full it is at the time, that determines how wide the portal is open, how likely it is that we could get attacked by monsters as a random encounter as we're drifting in the hex through the hex crawl. And so right now I have to go through the process of just dropping lines into here. So I'm going to go with 1, and then 2, and then 3, and 4, and then 5. So this is going to let us set up an orbit here like this, right? So we can see how that works. So I need to space these out properly. And then 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we have our differentials. I only have to worry about this area in here. This is where we're going to put our asteroid system. And hello to all that all join in. I appreciate everyone being here. Here and here. I'm going to merge these down. Cut that free. Take this. I'm going to drop the lighting on this a little bit. Nope, that's not the way to do it. Let's do it like this. One, and this will be two. That's horrible. Let's see if I can like 275. Maybe that feels right. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then three is about like this. Let's take it down to 475. Nope. 450. Let's try 450. This is a bit of a meticulous process, but it's got to be. Oh no, I think 475 was right. Let's try that again. Like that. Something's wrong. There we go. 475. I guess maybe 500 was right. Let's try that. Oh yeah, it totally works. And then this needs to be 475. There we go. this is 500. No, it's 600. Let's go 650. I bet that's going to work out. 625 is a bit big. Oops, I need to be on a separate layer. Once we get this done, we don't have to do it again, thankfully. How are we looking here? Does that look good? It's a little small. I think we need to expand the size a little bit. Let's go 925. Hey folks, how you guys doing? We're currently mapping the orbits of Eberron for a Spelljammer campaign, and 3, 4. Yeah, that's too small. There we go. I think that's needs to be just a little bit bigger. Let's go 1050. $1,025. Boop. Boop. So far, so good. And so you can see here, like, there's a wide swath in here. So when I'm going to actually put this in an orbital map. I'm going to do this and go. Good. So like these are the clusters that we're looking at. So when we're looking at this banding here, like we can see there's a wide swath through here that like we could potentially have this positioned like something like this would be good for these two communities here, but not good for these. So I'm going to have to reposition some of these, but like maybe, yeah, we'll figure it out. Like this might be a good place to start, and then have these all spaced. But we'll see. That's what we have to figure out. Where will these structures sit in these orbits inside of this quarter circle here that we're building out? So I have to build out the pathways, because when the moons come around, they're going to destroy or like pull in anything that's in its path. So we're going to have these bands moving through here. And as long as like if we put like an asteroid cluster, yeah, like if we have a community here and then like another one here, like we know that's 10, 20, 30, 40, that's 40,000 miles apart. And the maximum speed for the vessels that we're using is 10,000 miles per day. So it takes 4 days to get across there. And during that time, are we going to see the fifth moon roll through that area? Is it going to get close enough to actually affect the players? That's a potential random encounter, dealing with whatever comes off of that moon when they come too near. So that's what we're working on right now. And this needs to be here and here. So once we get this all resolved, we'll be able to start layering in where all these things are actually supposed to be at. Let's push that up just a little bit bigger. That feels right. These things are getting big. There. Let's go instead 1575. There, like that. There. Yeah, these are mostly accurate. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm not really trying hard. 8 is also on the line, so let's see if I can line you up. Ooh, that looks off. Let's push it to here. There. And then reduce this by 1875. These are going to be big fucking circles, y'all. There. Nine and 9. It's a little off. Let's bring it down to here. Add in another layer. Let's go to 2175. Good enough. Almost done. And then we can get started. Let's add in another layer. Bring that down a snig. There. That's a little big, but it is a little big. 3, no. 2, 4, 2, 5. That's what I want. Kind of like that. Can I do 2, 4, 5, 0? I bet that'll work. Yeah, that's good. Start that again. 2 more to go. Almost done. I need another layer. Like that. Too thick. 20. Let's go 2750. How about that? Good. And last. Let me hit save real quick. There we go. Thank you. About time. Good. $30.50 maybe. $30.75. There. Okay. That looks horrible. And we'll do a more professional version of this eventually. But those are our moons. And looks like I'm missing one. There we go. $11.75. Okay, those are our clusters. And the only region that we really need to worry about is this area here. So I'm going to throw a mask layer on this here real quick. And we'll leave it open just in case we find something cool. Let's see. Got this down to here and here. So there. Let's drop some. Let's just reduce its opacity a little bit so it doesn't burn a hole through our brain so much. Now we can technically, yeah, we'll focus on wherever the map, whatever we have on the map. We'll see if we can find something that the cluster will fit. Okay, so next up is grabbing clusters. Let's grab a cluster. Copy. Paste. I'm going to drop that to be really faint so it doesn't get in the way. All right, so the next thing I want to do is let's see where we can push these things around. Like that's not so, that's actually pretty good. These are off, so I'll have to adjust for those. But a lot of this stuff just is, this is sitting pretty fucking pretty. Let's say I grab this one. Like these are dead on path, so they can't be there. This one can't be here. So let's, yeah, let's just start fucking around and move these things so that they're not in the way of a moon's path. Like that one's close, but it's not completely in the way. These are completely in the way, but this one isn't. So like I could take, let me get rid of the cloud around these and just go back to normal structure here real quick. Let's break this up a little bit. So I can be a little bit more objective about these. Let's grab this. Yeah, let's grab this cluster here and let's just bring it down to here. I could bring this over our square just to, nah, we'll leave it be where it was. It barely gets clipped. There. Then here. Feels good there. What am I going to do about you two? That path is good. Like that. Yeah, something like that. Let's push this one out to here. It's going to be really interesting to see. Right now, I'm just trying to put these things in wherever they fit. And then we'll go back and we'll look at, again, we have the the list of this is linked down below under the campaign workbench. You can click the link to see where we're at here. But like this is between like this cluster here is between 6 and 7. So the 2 moons that orbit this is Nim and Laveron, which corresponds to Donvi and Zoriat. Oh Jesus, Zoriat, the realm of dreams, is here, which is like nightmare creatures like Beholders, Illithid, and stuff like that. And then Donvi, the perfect order, that's like Modrons, Formians, Inevitables, and some angels. So there's going to be, through this area here, it's an aberration versus angel sort of conflict that we're going to be seeing manifested. So that's kind of terrifying. Like, I can see why these aren't necessarily populated areas. These areas have enough material clumped up in there that they can be explored, and like there can be like asteroid dungeons and small planetoids and stuff like that are floating in this space. But them being in orbit between Donvi and Zoriat, it makes sense that I didn't roll to have random cultures existing there. What I would have there would probably be it's like mutated Kuatoa type mutation creatures and stuff like that. Could be really interesting. This is a very narrow clip here. I'm actually thinking what I want to do here is extend this to be here. That sits really nicely for that cluster there, and then I can bring this one in here. That way we can keep the spirit of what this cluster was, but now it's starting to conform with the space between the moons. Again, because if these things existed in the path of the moons, they just get smashed and dragged away. And so the society, the locations that still function, they have to be between, effectively between the moons. Bring that down to here. And now we're going to have to take this and like bring it to here. And we'll take these again, drag them to here. There we go. See, that's a good point. These all fit here. So this is a friendly a friendly society. Let's move this one. Actually, yeah, let's move this one over like this to here. Connected like that, and then these connect like this. That's perfect. Then here's our cluster, our air supply here. I like that. We can bring that to here. And actually, I can tighten this up. Bring that to here. Look at that! I only had that so far out to the map, and that actually fucking works. That's awesome. I love when little things like that come together, man. It feels so good. I love that. The air supply so it's like this. These things are so fun. I love building campaigns. A well-built campaign can be easily ran if you put in the time to make sure you've got everything fleshed out that you need at the front end of the campaign. Is the rest of it's just going to run itself. All you got to do is just keep things updated. And that's something that I can do here on stream with you guys each week. After the team runs their adventure, then I'll be able to jump on stream here with you guys and do updates to keep you all abreast of what's happening. And I think I can do like forward-facing updates without necessarily doing spoilers. I think that could probably work out. We'll see if it does. But hello to folks that are checking out the channel. We're building an Eberron campaign that's mixed with Spelljammer. We're using mega kaiju space creatures to attack different colonies. And our characters are going to be equipped with Gundam Mecha Spelljammer Spirit Guardian ships to fly around and defend the communities from monster attacks. I want to divide these. I want to keep them clear of each other here. Like that. Yeah, that feels good. And then here, it goes like that. This would close off like this. And again, each of these pathways here is where one of the moons goes through. And when a moon comes by, it can potentially unleash monsters that are related with the plane of that moon. Because Eberron, I have to fix this over here. I bet, let's see. How can I go about fixing this? This is between 4 and 5. This is the home. This is the starting point of the community that the team is going to be overseeing here. It's between 4 and 5. So Moon 4 and 5 is Fernia and Rizia. So fire elementals and ice para elementals. Those are the two things that are sandwiching fire to the inside, Fernia to the outside. That's relatively not hostile. So there's elemental conflicts that are happening between ice and fire hate each other. So they would, like, this area here, it could be a battleground. These could be battleground areas that that when these two things are in orbit close to each other and they're both full, they would be unleashing creatures to attack each other in the eternal struggle. And they would be able to traverse, since this is an air pocket that supports life as they're crossing through here, like this would be a natural battleground to take control of it. So at any given time, this could be controlled by earth, this could be controlled by ice or fire elementals. And what's between 2 and 3? What planes are those? That is Lamania, the Twilight Forest, and Serania, the Azure Sky. So this is air, fire, water / ice. Where is Earth? Is there an Earth? The perfect order. They don't have something specifically that's Earth focused. Twilight Forest is greenish energy. Interesting. So I could see this being influenced like with a lot of forest, like a lot of forest and air elemental type creatures. So like this would be a bunch of basically aviaries and both the forest and the endless sky would have flying creatures associated with it. So like this could become like a really interesting aviary region, and it would take the characters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or if they want to fly direct, they could go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It would only take them 3 days to get to this from here. I have these connecting points here because these are, I was originally looking at these as being like travel lanes, but I don't necessarily know if I want to keep that idea intact. I like them being connected, but I can't necessarily justify like why are these things connected to each other. I'll leave them connected for now, but I don't know what purpose that serves right now. Like there's like, this is a trade route between here and here. That makes sense. But like a trade route to here and here would make more sense than to go through here and then to here. So I haven't quite sussed that logic out. But when I build things, I like to build them like dungeons. Like dungeon maps. That makes it easy for me to convert the world into a dungeon, makes the world make more sense to fill. So that's the idea that I'm kind of playing with right now. I'm thinking let's get rid of this stuff. So let's get this cloud out of the way so it doesn't limit my thinking. And so I'm free to rearrange these clusters as I need. These are fine. This is fine. This is fine. It's this block here that needs to get changed. So I'm going to erase that. And erase that. And let's grab this and let's see if we can position this somewhere that it's not colliding with a moon. Like here, for instance. That works pretty good. So if we're here like this, there's supposed to be a connector through here. It's missing. Maybe... That's close. That is dangerously close. Oh, I can do this. Hold on. Bring this into here, and then we can bring this into here. I remember what the lines are for. The lines indicate where there's clusters of asteroid communities, or like little asteroids that have vegetation that's creating air. So like if there was nothing here, we would potentially see a break between these two clusters into separate regions that are separated by fouled air. But I don't want them separated by fouled air because we rolled the dice and the dice said, yeah, these things are connected somehow. And the way that they're connected is by fresh air. It's like these all have like little, like there'd be like a little pocket community, like a pocket cluster here between these two moons. Not big enough to specifically mention on the map, but if we're doing random encounters during the day, like from here to here, maybe we have the air hugging closer. Like this. Yeah, a little bit closer like that. I think that feels pretty good. Still really rough, but we're working it out. We're working it out. So this would mean that you could do a direct line from here to here, but you're gonna have to spend an entire day in fouled sea. So everything, you're gonna be poisoned the entire time, and there are monsters out there that are not affected by the foul air that will just like Orca Kandori and schools of scavers and nightmare creatures. Who knows? Like astral marauders and shit like that. Bad news things that your players really don't want to mess around with. So you're encouraged to stay on the known paths, on the fresh air paths. There we go. Yeah, like this is a pocket of foul air. I'll bring this in. here. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Steve, it's good to see you, my guy. How you doing? So now we have this air cluster that we had, and now all these moons can travel through the zone. And like Rizia will kick across here, and oh no, Fernia. This is Fernia that'll kick across here, and Rizia will kick across here. And any given time, these moons could be in orbit here and here. And then your the player's cluster becomes the battleground between the fire and the ice elementals that will spawn from the if the moons are full, or the more, again, like from last session we were looking at, the more full. If it's a new moon, there's a 0% chance that creatures will come out of it. If it's a full moon, it has it's completely open. There's a 100% chance that creatures will come out of it. If it's quarter waxing, then it's 25%. If it's half full, then it's 50%. If it's 75% waxing, then it's 75% chance that monsters could come out. So during a Bastion turn, we'll be able to determine, is there a moon that's in close proximity that could be dumping creatures? And like, we might have something happen like here on 6, and it could deploy here or it could deploy here. And so us hanging out here, and we hear from, say, travelers over in this direction, is like, yeah, there's now a, well, what was number 6? Number 6 is Donvi, the Perfect Order. So like maybe there's reports that this area is currently now being occupied by Modrons that are attempting to terraform that region to be in perfect order, or like it now has a Formian colony on it. So depending on which like where in orbit these clusters are at and what moons they're in close proximity to, will flavor, like if we have stuff that's happening on this rock, it's going to be between 8 and 9. So we could see conflicts between 8 and 9, which is Irian, the Eternal Day, and Thalanis, the Feywild. So the Eternal Day is all sunlight, radiant type creature stuff. And then the Feywild, well, the Feywild's the Feywild. It's like Trixies, right? So we'll be seeing like radiant creatures, Zagi, maybe like Thwakwi, maybe Quaddle even are in this area. And then we have the Feywild, which will be like pixies and shit like that. So most likely what we would see is like this would be a Feywild island, or whatever's in this 10,000 mile block is going to be heavily influenced by Feywild. Everything that's on this track here, everything that's on this track could be influenced by Feywild. So was that, yeah, that's, yeah, 8, right? No, Irian, 9. There we go. Everything on this track or adjacent to this track could be affected by Feywild. So like this is a hostile nation. Maybe it's got, maybe the Unseelie Court is now occupying this area and is actively attempting to take over these clusters as, you know, for reasons, whatever reasons. We can create, each of these can have different points of interest to further develop. The Fouled Sea, I'm going to go ahead and blip that out of the way for the time being. Look at that. This thing's just lining up. It's so fucking miraculous that everything just lines up. I can bring this to here. Let's do that. So now this is here, is off. This is out of orbit, like beyond the moons. I don't know what's beyond the moons. I haven't considered what could be out there in just raw wild space beyond the system. Could be nightmares. I should get rid of that thing. There. Do that. Or maybe I could bring this in. Like, that's not bad. Looks like this wants to get built out a little bit better. This is good now. This is good now. Yeah, let's build out this cluster a little bit just to see what's out there. because these could become points of interest. Now, again, each one of these squares is a full day of travel. So, and the asteroid community that the team is overseeing. Get out of here, Gunky. Here's our 10,000 mile block, and these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 major communities that are in this cluster. I might change that. I think I'm going to redraw this one. But each one of these squares inside this, this is a 10,000 mile block. So each one of these squares, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is each one of these squares is 500 miles, which is the amount of distance that the ship can fly. If it can do 10,000 miles in a day, it can do roughly 1,000 miles in 2 hours, which means it can do 500 miles in 1 hour, which means 1,000 miles in 2 hours means 100 miles in 10 minutes, means 10 miles per minute, which means 1 mile per round, which means 500 foot. 1 mile equals 5,000 feet. So a ship could do 10 squares of 500 miles apiece, and that would be a round of movement. That would be 10 squares of movement, and ships can move 5 squares, so it'd be able to do 250 miles in. It's 10 mile. It'd be 10 miles. Let me do that again. 10,000 miles per day, 1,000 miles per 2 hours. That means 100 miles per 10 minutes, which means 10 miles per minute, which means 1 mile per round. And a ship's movement speed is 5 squares. So it would be 5 squares at the 500 foot scale as one movement, and then using the dash action in your ship, you'd be able to move another 5 squares. That's 10 squares at the 500 foot scale, which equals 1 mile of movement per round. You can technically overclock your speed with flight speeds and stuff at the per round movement, like combat casting, like Lawn Strider and stuff like that. Like gives you an extra 1 or 2 squares of movements during combat, but your overall movement still caps at 10,000 miles just for simplicity's sake. But during combat and exploration at smaller scales than a day, like in the hour or per round or per minute scale, depending on how you're operating, then these like Long Strider or Haste can impact the amount of squares that your ship can move. But over the course of a 24-hour period of time, again, it just kind of it rounds up to 10,000 miles. So each one of these squares that we've been illustrating, each of these is 10,000 miles per square. And inside this 10,000 mile square space here, this is what we're looking at a 20 by 20 grid. Each square is 500 miles. That's the amount of distance that a ship can move in 1 hour. So this cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. 8 squares, which is 4,000 miles, and 6 squares, which is 3,000 miles. So if there's an event, if the team is currently situated at 6 and an event happens at 3, I'm going to roll a d10 to see how long does it take for that task to resolve, like how long does it take for those monsters to attack that location. And at the end of that time, so it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours for the team to get from 6 to 3. If I roll a 7, 8, or a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on the D10, the team will get there in time to intercept and deal with whatever, like pirates or whatever it is that's going on there. But if like the pirates come in and then clear out with a die roll of 4, they're going to get in and get out before the team could get there from 6. But like if they happen to be situated at number 2 right now, that's only 3 hours away. So they can get to the pirates before they're done and potentially stop them from, as long as you get there on time, you can stop them from causing harm. If they can get in and out before you're there, your players cannot participate in that battle. they now have to basically allow that the community itself has to take care of the threat themselves. So these superscripts here are indicating what rank of settlement it is on 1 to 5. One is a hamlet, 2 is a village, 3 is a town, 4 is a city, and then 5 is a megapolis. And you can see here that 3 is a town, is the highest rank, the largest community that we have. Like, this is a hamlet, this is a hamlet, this is a village, this is a village, this is a village, and this is a town. And a town can have up to 10,000, a village can have up to 1,000, and a hamlet can have up to 100 residents. And depending on what rank the settlement is, determines how many bastion points it has for us to build facilities and harvesting centers and resources with. So now that we're breaking down and figuring out where all of these asteroids, this asteroid community is located, we can now safely delve into this actual, and like, this has an X, so this is hostile forces. So this is going to be one of the Lazar pirates. This is hostile, and we just determined that this is going to be Unseelie Court that's messing around over here. Hey, what's up? That's Megapolis. Nice. I was gonna build this out into a thing. So let's build this cluster here, and then proceed. So we've got one. I've got 1 here. I had 2 here, and generally I'm rolling a d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 squares away. So I'm gonna roll a d6. I rolled a 4, so that's gonna be 1, 2, 3. How about that? I'm gonna push it to 5 because of the sweep. So we're gonna put 1 here, and then I roll a d4 to see how many points of exit it has. It has 2, and we have 1 already. And now I'm going to do a d8 for compass rose, and 1 is is 1 step clockwise. So like this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is back on the path I came from. I rolled a 4. So that's going to put us at 1, 2, 3. So there's an exit point here. Roll the d6. I'm going to have to push that to 3. And there's 2 points. So there's 1 point here and there's 1 point here. Those are the only 2 points. This one has 3 points of egress. So 1 point is already resolved. The second one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that way. And the other one is going to be this way. This way. So I think the natural square would probably be here. That's 1, 2, 3. It has to be at least 3 away. So let's roll a d6. I got a 3. So we'll put this one here. We'll connect these dots, and we're going to have another one down here, which could be any number of squares away, and I got a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put another square down here. And how many points of exit do you have? 2 points. Compass rose. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to angle this way. So it has to be at least 3, probably 4. I'm going to put it in at 4 down here. Because that makes sense. Let's try it. Let's see how we can seal this one up. We got here, 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 and here. And again, these lines are indicating that there is some sort of, well, with this pathway sweeping through here, there's no real connector. But like there's like little asteroid communities here, like with like forests and stuff on them that create enough air to be able to create an air envelope that'll wrap around both of these. Each of these large clusters are either like planetoids or massive asteroid systems that have enough vegetation that they're generating air for themselves. I think that was like that. How you doing up here, buddy? Let's look at you. How many points of egress do you have? You got 4. Jesus, 4 points. Okay. Let's start radial. You got 4. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Heading that way. 1, 2, and now we got another one, which is going to be this way, which makes me think it's just going to connect like that. And then a 4th, which is going to be that path again. So we're just going to leave that set like that. This is going to... I'm going to say no. I'm going to cut that off there. And this guy down here, let's resolve it. How many points of egress does it have? 2. And radial says 2. Like that. I'm just gonna arbitrarily say, let's have it brush across here. And I'm gonna actually let's do that. That feels good. I like that. There we go. That is my timer for me just to keep tabs on time. It goes off every 20 minutes, and it's an opportunity for me just to check my shit. It's 8 o'clock now. I'm really, really enjoying this. This is super fucking fun. This is all the connective material that we need to like literally build a campaign with. There could be a pocket in here. I'm good with that. So what's way out there? Shavarith and Dolrum, the Shadow... Jesus Christ. The Battleground, the Shadowfell, and Mabar. That's where here, and here. Like, this is a nightmare realm. Jesus Christ. Undead aplenty. The Shadowfell, more undead. And then the Battleground is like the Blood War. Like, demons and devils fighting each other. Yeah, that is a super unfriendly territory. Bleh. I do not want to hang out there. Like, there's got to be some sort of special nastiness that's happening out here that would cause the team to want to come venture out to this realm and potentially deal with like a 1,000 night gaunts falling from the moon, from the Shadowfell, heading for Mabar, crossing through this cluster, like this cluster here. God, what a fucking nightmare that would be. This guy's touching Mabar, right? And then the Feywild, the Endless Night and Feywild. Oh God. So this here is sandwiched between Feywild to the inside, and then the Shadowfell to the outside. Whew, man, that sounds like Shadar Kai's height. Like, this could be a community of Shadar Kai and Shadow Touched. Potential, what's the word I'm looking for? Tiefling would probably make sense out here. mixed in with Unseelie. That's kind of a cool combo. And this is, God, that's such a nasty area. Mabar and the Shadowfell. That's what these two are sandwiched between. So that's like Shades and Yugoloth. So like these things are like bad news locations. They're most likely going to be populated by just super fucking nasty shit. I love that. I really like this idea. I think this is super fucking fun. We could. I'm just going to leave this here for now. I think this is probably the most. Like, this is a lot of venturing. And again, the team is responsible for protecting this community. And so they've got the Dwarven Citadel that they move around as like as basically like a trade caravan that's constantly under protection with mecha and fighter craft that deploy to attack other creatures when they come within proximity. Nice. So yeah, this is a decent location, I think, to start with. Let's call it, actually, call it the Poison Sea. Poison Sea. Maybe, maybe instead of that, we can do a, like a greenish color. We'll do like that. Let's fill this in here right like this to indicate poison. Oh, and then the air turns deadly out here. This is the Poison Sea, and this is dead air. So there's no air in between here. Like it stops at the orbit of the moon. There is no air beyond that point. So does that mean we want to bring this in? Maybe we want to bring this in. I'm going to get rid of that real quick. Let's get rid of that. I like that idea. No, it's okay. These things can exist outside that space. I'm cool with that. But yeah, air supply stops at the furthest orbit of the moon. So beyond here, there is no air. So you could venture out there, and there's air where there's pockets around there, but this like the space, like if there's like another cluster out here, this is deadly air. That's just dead space. It's like flying creatures could potentially drift or make their way from here to here over time because there's air here, but like if they wanted to hook up around like this and then come around over this way, they wouldn't be able to do that because there is no air out there unless you had a ship that could provide air for you. Fighter craft have air for 1 day, and vessels that are over 50 feet in size, they can hold air for 100 days. And if a fighter craft runs out of air on its own while it's adrift, you don't die. As long as you're in orbit, you don't die. You're just going to be poisoned. And again, in D&D 5e, poison means you're at disadvantage on all D20 tests until you can get a breath of fresh air. So I'm just not bothering with the rest of these areas here. There's probably other clusters in here somewhere. Potentially, like over here perhaps. So maybe I don't want to fill that in so much. But I know where these are all positioned with each other, and I like this poison air pocket. Like, you could risk it. I like that. And I'm going to trim this down a little bit because I don't know how far out this is going to go. And if we need to, we can just flip this map and then start putting in things over there. But I don't have to worry about that part of the world until the players delve into it. But if I do my job right as a DM, they're going to be so busy at home that they're not going to want to drift out. And this is the 10,000 miles that, like Eberron's like, I want to say around 8,000 miles in size. So it occupies this 10,000 mile space, which means that it's all fresh air in that space. And the actual asteroid, like the Tears of Sybaris, would be like in orbit around it like this. And then we have the first moon at 10,000 miles. I didn't want to learn more. Get out of here. So I don't know what any of this is like. No asteroids can survive this low or this low. It's all just going to get ground chucked. So that's all going to be foul air. Unless there's like small little asteroid clusters that have air, but for the most part, there's nothing largely documented that holds fresh air in this area. This could potentially be fresh air. This is all going to get chewed up. This could potentially be fresh air. This is going to get chewed up. We know there's a gap here, so there's no fresh air there. And this is just going to get chewed up through here. Yeah, that's not going to be. Otherwise, it'd already be connected to that. So this can't be. It has to be at least a 1 day buffer between different zones. And anywhere that a moon sweeps through can't support. It's like we could potentially have something squeezed into this spot here. But like this is getting clipped too much. This could potentially have something squeezed in. But this could have something squeezed in because of how the orbit just happens to sit. But like this is too close to this cluster. And it's undocumented, so like we could have stuff potentially here. I'm just knocking out the areas that can't support anything. Yeah, that's going to get clipped. This could potentially have something, but these can't. This can't. Because the moon comes through and just destroys everything. Or if the portal's open, just swallows it. So there's a large absence of like actual asteroid material that runs on these paths here. Because in time they would all be pulled into the other plane, which is like for example, what is it? Donvi, the Endless Sky. That has all these floating asteroids in that plane because when the portal is open, when the moon is open as a portal, it's just gonna sweep up anything that it hits along the way, and it's gonna get pulled into that plane. Like, this is potentially open. This is potentially open. These aren't. And these aren't. So you have like this little belt here that things could potentially survive inside. No, that one's getting eaten up. Yeah, these little pockets. These things are cool. Too close. Let's flush this one out here, and it has to go out at least a day's distance from the cloud. Otherwise, the cloud would just be bigger. Let's fill this in. I'm thinking about the next thing that I need to do is we want to go in and start rebuilding the asteroid communities to better fit the space that it occupies. So I'm just gonna finish these strips here because I'm enjoying this. I'm just enjoying it. So I'm just gonna fill these in because I like seeing how it moves. Like, this gives us a sense of like what these orbits are like. Like, we know there's nothing in here, otherwise there'd be something in here. So this is open space, but we could potentially have like a little pocket of something here. Not here, but here. Like, that could be a little node, yeah, like a little node. We could have a node here and here. These are all too close. This one could potentially be there. It's just off the bow. I think I'd allow this one as well. But like, this is too close, so that can't be. These could be. This could be. It's just off the cloud. Let's just get this filled in here. Not the perfect map, but I'm liking it. I'm liking how this is shaping up. This is really fun. And I don't really need to make this map more ornate than this. It's functional. It has a sort of Super Mario Brothers sort of feel, like a Mario World feel to it, navigating from one area to another. I mean, you could just free flow from like here to here if you want, but again, you have to float through the poison sea for 1, 2, 3, 4 days before you get to your destination. That's 4 days of basically breathing poison and having the poison condition, while the monsters you face will not have the poison condition because they're immune to the effects. So that's really fucking sad news, right? Good luck. That's a day off, so that's technically okay. This is close enough to be okay. These are still too close here. This is good enough. That works, but this doesn't, so I gotta dig that out. And then we'll dig that out. And then that, and then that. There's probably something big that's sitting in this cluster area here. I'm just dropping. I'm honestly just enjoying this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fill these in before we move on to the next piece. This is also giving me an opportunity just to procrastinate a little bit, to build up my nerve and my guts to start working on the actual communities that the team is gonna oversee. I'm really liking this structure though. This is super fucking cool. There we go. That's awesome. Get rid of that. Yeah, by filling these in, this gives us an idea of where structures could actually, like where colonies, like where breathable clusters could actually exist in these orbits. This is really fun. Let's you're probably good like that. Let's knock this down here like that. I'm almost done building these out, and then we'll then start working on the. Yeah, we got to do that. Start working on the colony some more. Do that. And then here. And one more. Let's resolve this one. Yeah, that gets taken up. Ooh, nice. I like these. I like these little pathways here. These habitable zones throughout here. They're really cool. Those separated. There we go. Through here, then here, like that. Almost done. Let's do that. And then go like this, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And then here, and then here. I don't know if anyone's done this for Eberron. This might be something unique that that the Eberron community might be able to make use of somehow. I'll be posting. I'll be posting these things to the Eberron community. That feels right. Yeah, that makes sense. That all looks good. That all looks good. Let's get these taken care of here. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you folks. We'll be getting into more interesting stuff here in a few minutes once I get this all resolved. I know this isn't the most important thing for me to be doing right now, but it's starting to form ideas in my head about how things can be built and structured. And I love the idea of the orbits being a hex crawl. If the teams, if the players can get the communities to a point where they can defend themselves from kaiju attacks, then that would free their hand to actually be able to go out and actually hex crawl and explore the wild space system. I kind of like that idea, not gonna lie. I'm planning on running the campaign from level 5 to 13. And maybe if they are able to really get things structured out, maybe they could start roaming by 9th level? Don't know. No, this has got to be at least a square wave, so that has to be like that. And one day out, there we go. One day out, that works. That gets filled in, that gets filled in. Like that. This goes to here. And this goes to here. So fun. I used to do this shit back in 2nd edition when I was 16, back in the late 80s, 90s, building out systems like this and making up worlds. It was super fun. I love Spelljammer. It's such a cool setting. It does so much cool, fun stuff. I'm going to fill that in. That one's okay, though. So you can keep that one clear. This one's going to get filled in. This one's going to get filled in. This one's going to get filled in. This one gets filled in. This one, and these here, and these here. Yeah, that feels right. We'll call these clear areas habitable zones. Free from risk of being smashed by a moon. And so the moon paths are automatically fouled air. Because anything that's large enough to be able to support vegetation that can produce an atmosphere would have been eaten by the moon's orbit already. And then disappeared. Disappeared into the realms, into the planes of wherever. Yeah, it's close enough. This one will squeeze out like that. Nah, we'll leave that one free. We'll foul that one. It's enough. There, like that. Almost done. And then everything out here is deadly. 0 air. It starts suffocating you as soon as you arrive. And since there's no proof that there's anything out there that can provide fresh air to help replenish your oxygen, people don't go out there a lot unless there's really good reasons to go out there. Because you have to come back eventually. If there's something out there that can replenish your air, we don't know about it. Not yet. Yet to be discovered. There we go. Okay, that's good enough for now. This is showing us where our habitable zones are. So we could drop... Oh, wait, I missed a spot. There we go. Hey, we did it. This is, you know, over half the map. We could drop in more things over here, but I'm going to leave them blank for now for us to discover later. It's not important at the moment. This is just the 3 main clusters that we're dealing with. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I could probably build these out more. Yeah, so let's go ahead and put a pause on that. And now we have our orbit. So I'm going to call this Moon Orbit Clusters. We'll go System Map. Yeah, that looks fine. Now let's darken those up a little bit more. Oh God, this is cool. This is cool. I hope you guys think this is as fun as I do. I think there's a lot of really fun options inside here, and we can start we can populate each of these little nodes that are in here, and again, there's vegetation. There'll be pockets of vegetation in this area here and enough little just free-floating asteroids that it maintains an atmosphere that gets strung together between these larger, and each of these nodes has enough vegetation to be able to provide oxygen. So these are habitable areas that aren't inhabited by anybody that we know. So, or rather, we aren't aware that they're being inhabited, but they can be. There could be dungeons on these things. There could be quiet little fortresses that are doing their own thing. These could be battlegrounds between the moons here and here that open up, that create these zones of conflict between each other. So this is a bad place to hang out if you're between 2 and 3, which would be, what is 2 and 3? Where'd you go? 2 and 3 is the Twilight Forest and the Azure. Yeah, we were talking about that. Twilight Forest and Azure Sky. So yeah, that's right. We were talking about this as being like an aviary. So I'm gonna itch my eye here real quick. What do we got going on inside here? Yeah, we have all our moons numbered. So that's good. Probably want to darken those a snitch just so they're a little bit more visible. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Oh, fuck, this is so fun. Okay, so this is a 10,000 miles square. So now that we have this all figured out as our system map, we can now zoom in. We can go back and I can actually trash. Yes, this is the next area. This is what's important. Actually, looking here, and yeah, we have the 3 points of egress here, and we're going to call this. We're just going to call up north. I don't know what. Maybe this direction is north, and maybe this direction is south towards the planet, but that's weird. So we're just going to leave this as it is. So we have the eastern, southern, and then northwestern passages that lead to other regions that we can potentially mess around with. 4 and 5 is between Fernia and Rizia, just like we are, just like this is, just like this whole stretch through here is all caught in the zone between the fire and the earth and the earth, the ice stuff, the fire and ice elementals. This is their shit fit range in here, like fighting area. So we're right in the middle of the fighting area between fire and ice elementals. What's on the other side of the fire elementals? Ice elementals. Number 6, Donvi. The perfect order. That's right. And then Serania, the Azure Sky, that's at 3 here. So air, fire, water, and then order, and then chaos. Chaos, air, fire, water, order. That's interesting. We have order, we have chaos and order, And then we have 3 of the 4 elements in here, and Earth isn't really accounted for as an element in these systems, or in the planes of Eberron. I think that's interesting. Just I think the rest of the planes have like ground of some sort. It's like all of them have Earth except for fire and water would potentially not have ground. I don't know. Like the endless sea, and then like eternal flames, or like maybe like lava flows and stuff like that at certain points. Still fleshing that out. I'm letting that stuff spin around in my head to become a little bit more solidified as we go. Let's see. So to that point, we're now messing around with here. So we're going to I think we're going to make this a pocket here. We're going to duplicate this group. And we're going to push it up here to community. Now we can toss that into the trash. Community. I don't need this anymore. Actually, do we have all that information already collected for the communities? Yeah, we already have the community. Okay, so we don't need this anymore either. We can drop that into the trash. Thank you. And what's going on in this layer? Anything? Grid stuff. Let's toss that into the trash as well. Mega Dungeon. Eberron, Spelljammer, Bastion. On Saturday morning, we just finished the playtest that we ran in the Mega Dungeon from level 3 to 9 using the Martial Power System. On Saturday morning at noon Eastern Time, New York time, at noon, for a couple hours, we'll be revamping the Martial Power System, which is a mana system and alternate magic, like the Tome of Battle, Book of 9 Swords from 3.5, or just Martial Powers from 4th edition. It's a mana system that we built to complement the spell point system we have for full casters and half casters, so that all 13 classes uses the same mana pool as a resource to empower, or to cast spells or to channel powers. So it's a thorough spell point system for 5e using Magic the Gathering color mana system, or I'll eventually develop as a third party the elemental system of air, earth, fire, water, different elemental mana that you can channel to do different spell effects and powers using different elements, like the airbenders, whatever. So we'll be building that out, and when we do, I'll have it, since the campaign concluded, I can walk you guys through the Mega Dungeon that I built for that playtest campaign. You guys can take a look at the maps that I had if you want. So that'll be Saturday. If you guys want to check that out, like and subscribe to get notification of when I'll be active, if you're interested in checking that out. But for now, we're working on the community, so let's zoom in here and let's take a look at how this community sits. I feel like I want to bring this down to here. Boop and boop. Like that. Yeah, let's just let you sit. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. I can see how that sits. Wait. I see how it sits again. Let's add the black. Like this. This is roughly the air pocket. Like this will be like, this is foul air out here. And let's fold that up. Something like this. Ish. In. We'll adjust that as needed. Border, frame, we'll put frame at the top. Border, numbers. Let's clean up the interior. Let's go back to black. Windows extend off into the nether. Okay, so this is a 5. Each of these squares is 500 miles. One hour travel. Contemplating. Do I want these? Okay, so I'm going to ask the Oracle. Do I want to... So here's our communities. Population. Here's the size that we rolled previously for how large each of these community asteroids are. But I kind of feel like I want these things to be bigger, occupying larger spaces. Is that a good idea? Is it a good idea for... Should I make these things bigger to fit the 500 scale map? 5 and 3. 5 is the question, and 3 is lower. That means no. I should keep the actual sizes that I have, which are significantly smaller, but each of these little clusters here, 500 miles apart per square. Kind of like this, but I kind of don't. So I want to drop this down here, like really faint. And I feel like I want to doodle. Like I want something more significant here than just a few stray rocks. So I'm going to start by filling in rocks. These are not proportionate at all. Large enough for air. Okay, so let's ask: is the actual air supply of these areas much closer to the cluster, and it's actually a much more narrow pathway from one square to the other that's hyper exaggerated? Are these pathway? Is the air supply in this region actually significantly smaller than what I'm depicting here? 1 and 4 equals yes. Okay, so that means that instead of this being like this, it's going to actually be more like this. Similar to what we already depicted at the larger scale, but now zoomed into a much smaller size. So is this more representative of how this area actually sits? 1 and 2 equals definitely, but not by a lot. So I'm going to reduce this down here. Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, so what we can do is... Can we do... Is this a better way? Is this an accurate way for us to be doing this? 1 and 2 again. The gods like what I'm doing. Now, does that mean that there should be separate so that we're going to have? So that means we're going to have fouled air in between here, but like we could have like another cluster over here, right? It jumped out. No, not like that. Is this just this? Okay, so is the central cluster that I'm working on right now the only cluster? 4 and 4. Okay, so should it be a little bit bigger than this, taking in other little clusters? 1 and 6 equals yes. Okay, so like I could have a cluster out here, but if I do, it's going to be connected like over here like this. And are there pockets of fouled air rocks? Yes, there are. Like that. Let's actually fill this in. So take this back to full, drop it down to 25. So if we go into the green, that's poison. This is the poison sea. Ooh, are there like little cluster spots? I like that idea. Oh, that's right. There's supposed to be a clean passage through here, so we'll add in some little scattered rocks here and there. There we go. Yeah, like this. This adds more points of interest. Flesh that out a little bit there. Like that. Yeah, like that. Fill this in. There we go. So, like, it could be like a 200-mile rock over here, but it doesn't have vegetation on it. It's just a rock. So, this area could have all sorts of iron deposits or like different types of minerals that could be collected in mining operations. But the dwarves and the gnomes need to have an oxygen supply for them to be able to operate, which means fish suits or operating inside of vessels only. But the Warforged don't have to breathe. So Warforged can actually kick out and hang out on these rocks in the poison air and be completely unaffected by it. That. That went off screen. Didn't want to do it like that. There we go. Interesting. Okay, I'm really enjoying this. So let's go to 6-1. Two. 4-1. Two. Cool. Get rid of that. Bring those down to 50% so they aren't standing out as much as our main rocks. Let's fill them in just to indicate that they're important. Now, do I want to think about these other large rocks? I do. Okay, now that I've had a chance to look at this, do I actually want to consider increasing the size of each of these inhabited rocks to actually be closer to 500 miles in size so that they occupy a significant amount of space with a lot of potential for community growth? Do I want to do that? 1 in 4 says yes, I do. Okay. So if I've got all this space on all these rocks, why would I want to have them go out and populate different rocks? If it's 500 miles in size, that's significantly larger than the space occupied. Like, this is a 64-mile rock. Like, number one, the biggest rock is only supposed to be 64 miles. This is a 500-mile square. It's like, this is like effectively like 300 miles. Is there a good logical reason why everyone wouldn't just be on this particular rock here, as opposed to taking the 1, 2, 3 hours of travel to jump over here instead of being here? Is there a good reason to do that? 5 and 6 says it's highly unlikely that it's a good idea, but regardless, they needed to do that. We needed to do that for some reason. Is it because there's only, well, this whole region here, these hundreds of miles of space are filled with breathable air, and then beyond that is the fouled air that's poisonous. That's why that green is there. These are each inhabited. There's only a hamlet on this entire rock, which could be hundreds of miles in size. There's only a hamlet. This has a population 4,000 people on, only a population of 4,000 people. That's a town, but it's the only significant town on that rock. But there has to be enough vegetation on these rocks and all the other rocks around here to sustain this larger air envelope. So there has to be all sorts of forest all over the place. Why are we stretching out to these different rocks? We've already determined that there's a logical reason why we're doing that. Like this and this, these are air pockets over here. They're separated by the fouled air, so it's not necessarily convenient to get to them. Is that why? Is that why we're seeing that? Because that's inconvenient. 5 and 6 says yes, it is. If the second number is higher than the first number, the answer is yes to my yes questions. If the number is lower than if the second number is lower than the first number, the answer is no. So in this instance, I asked, are we not using these two pockets because the fouled air separating them is annoying enough to make them unattractive? 5 was the question, 6 was the answer. So the question is it inconvenient? And 5, it's inconvenient, but it's like it just lost out. Like, if needed, they will venture into these areas because there are resources and growth potential over in these two clusters over here to the south, but it hasn't been valuable enough for them to actually want to collect it yet. So these other areas, these things are broken up. Is this a defensive tactic that they're using? They're diversifying the rocks that they're on out of protection from the moons coming by. 1 and 3. So this is a specific tactic. So when Furnia and Rizia swing by this area, if everybody was on the same rock and the elements decided to spill into that rock specifically, if they were all just located here and this gets hit, then there goes everybody. By breaking up the communities into various smaller asteroids, that increases the chance of, if monsters invade the area, the team won't get, the society won't fall. So this is like a survival tactic. Is that what we're looking at? 4 and 3 means no, which means that it is, but it isn't. I already said yes before, but now it says no. So that means maybe they originally broke up the asteroids like this because of attacks, but it's been long enough that they're starting to be able to build up communities. Is that what we're looking at? 2 and 5. So does that mean that there's large areas of these asteroids that, like, are these things, since they're between fire and ice, are these things being impacted by those elemental influences? 3 and no says no. But were they at one point? 2 and 5 says yes. So does that mean that like where the town is at, area 1, the central cluster here, was this thing, did it used to have larger amounts of forests that got burned down? 5 and 1 says no, because the larger cluster of air, there's still enough vegetation in this region to create that large, hundreds of thousands of miles of air that are fresh, right? 4 and 4. The 4s, of course. The 4s are strong in this one. So there's enough air, so that means there's enough things that are there. Is there like different, maybe has Rizia heavily influenced everything? So it's like super fucking cold everywhere right now. 1 and 2. Okay, so 6 and 4 are hamlets. They're newer communities. Are they new communities, or are they what's left of prior communities that got destroyed and they're just recovering now? Were they previously destroyed by Furnia? One and 5. So yes. But 5, location 5 is a village. So was that not hit by Furnia? 2 and 6. So yeah, 5 was not hit by Furnia. 4 and 6 hit by Furnia, or are these new rocks that 5 and 1 diversified into? Is 6 and 4 an Exodus maneuver? 4 and 6. So yes. So 5 and 1 got hit previously. Has 2 and 3 been impacted, or are those being allowed to grow? Is 2 and 3, are they like in really cold snaps? 1 and 5. So this whole, okay. So looking at the world map here, we see that Rizia cuts across here. That's that's number 5, right? Rizia is number 5. Yes. Yeah, and then Furnia is the Sea of Fire. So 5 is cutting closer to this side of the community. So that tells us that this region here, I'm going to hit save. So this region here is being hit by cold snaps from Furnia breezing by. And this here is 1 also being hit by cold snaps? Yes, it is. Okay, so like this stretch along here is being hit by cold snaps from Rizia. This got hit by a hot wave from Furnia. Is that right? 4 and 2. So no, 4 and 2 is a no. Is the moon shifting so that 2, 3, and 1 are becoming colder, and 4 is potentially becoming colder, and 6 and 5 are warmer? 4 and 4. 4 is a strong. Okay, so what we're facing here is that Rizia is starting to chill down this whole region here. And this area is still okay. Is this okay? So that said no. So is 5 and 6 okay? Is that like a Goldilocks zone right there? 1 and 4. Okay. So this area here is starting to get really hot. This area here is starting to get really cold. And this area in between, this is still the temperature that they expect. Has this been happening for a couple years now? No. Decades? No. Just recently? Yes. Okay. Is Rizia expanding? Yes, it is. Is Furnia contracting? No, it's not. Furnia is holding its ground. Yes, it is. So, okay. So 5 and 6 are getting squeezed here. So Furnia's heat point across here is remaining strong. Furnia has been expanding. So there's interest in starting to push. God, if the area gets tighter, this is going to get... So they're eventually going to have to stretch over to here. This is going to get too cold. This is going to be okay. Is that right? Is this all reading true? 4 and 5, yeah. Okay. So this area over here is starting to become colder and colder. Let's do it like this. This area here is becoming colder. This area here is still good. Has it taken a lot of time for this shift to happen? No. So Rizia is starting to hit the area with unexpected cold snaps recently. Yes. Furnia is holding strong. Yes. Okay. So 4 and 6 is an effort to expand resources there as 1, 2, and 3 start to chill. Oh, they need more crops developed elsewhere. Is that what's going on? Yes. Okay, this is all making a lot of sense now. So with Rizia expanding its cold influence into 1, 2, and 3, crop yield here is being repressed. Is that right? It's making it difficult for them? Yes, it is. So now they have to use 4, 6, and 5. They have to expand crop rotation, or they have to expand crop growth in these areas so that if yields remain low because of long winters and mild summers, where eventually the forests are fine, but crops are becoming less likely. So that means that 4, 5, and 6 need to be focusing on crops, while 1, 2, and 3 can still have lots of forest. So let's go back up to our maps and look at how our population is breaking apart. 1, 2, and 3. Wood, bamboo. Okay, we can't have bamboo swamps on 1 because it's starting to get too cold. Goats are good. Iron mine is fine for 3. Crop fields. Down. Down. Plus wood forest. Plus bamboo. Down. Actually, let's just drop that away. Let's and so a rank 3 should have 3 sources of materials. Let's suppress them. Let's reduce the amount that 1, 2, and 3 have. Let's reduce them by 1 element to indicate losses. So we're going to reduce this down to goat pastures, because they can survive on cold mountains more easily. So it makes sense that they would be there. Crop fields are down. These guys are reduced to goat pastures. Number 3 has an iron mine, and it has crop fields, which are depleting. There's only 1 resource on 4 right now, which is the electrum mine. Let's change this to. Let's change that to electrum mine. And let's take 4. Let's make 4 crops. That's why we're there. Sheep pasture is good. Wood forest. I like the fishing space. Yeah, we'll leave that as fishing space just for diversity. So crops in rank 1 isn't very big. Crops in 3, which is down. So these things are depleted. They can't operate, like they can't have, we can't have 3rd rank crops on this rock because it's unnaturally cold. We can only pull, the amount of quality and abundance that we're pulling from that is being reduced by 1 rank. So it could be 3rd rank if it was massive population growth, but currently it's only 2. And then the crops on 2, on area 3 is reduced down to only 1. The iron mine will have it 2. Crop fields here can only yield 1. Excuse me. Sheep pastures is 2. Wood forest is 2. Fishing space can only be 1. Goat pastures gets to stay 2. The electrum mine gets to stay 2. The wood forest, let's say it's surviving okay, so it can be at 3. But crops are being suppressed, so the food is being reduced. Let's go to our Bastion document. And look at communities. Or settlements. Let's get down into governing bastions and settlements. Population of max population is 1,000. Max population is 10,000. We need. I think we're gonna have I think we're having food shortages. That's a fun crisis. Interesting. Okay, so we need to have enough food for a population of 47, 55, for 5,600 right now, which means we need the max population for third rank is 10,000. Our population is within 10,000. We need to have a rank 3 a rank 3 crop to be able to provide enough food for our population. The maximum population, so we have total population is 56,000. And our current food supply is at 1,000. 1,000, because goat pastures, goat provides meat, so that helps. So 1,000, 1,000, we'll go 1,000, 1,000, 11, that's 2,000, 2,100, 2,200, 3,200, 3,400. Total population, total food. What was that again? 1,000, 2,000, 2,100, 2,200, 3,200, 3,300. There's our major crisis. So we don't have enough food. Food gap. 2,270, which means we need to get access to a third rank resource or diversify and get more second rank resources so that we can become self-sufficient. Here's what's fun. We know that there is, if we zoom out here, off to this path to the east, there is an allied community all the way over here that we can get food from, enough food from to be able to handle our needs. However, there's pirates here. So every time that we try to attempt trade between our two communities, there is a risk that there's going to be a pirate raid and we will not get our supplies. So that can be a major threat that's going to be ongoing, that's going to cause the characters to want to engage these pirates in combat, potentially leaving our home defenseless, taking our dwarven citadel to the either protect ourselves, like maybe meet at this waypoint here to have a handoff from supplies from that community. Like maybe they're not willing to risk going through here. So whenever we have a complication with our food supply, that's going to require our characters. And again, a Bastion turn is a week. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to take 6 days for us to be able to get to that point, reload the ship, and then we have to head back 6 days. So we'll actually have, if we actually run into a food supply issue, let's assume that we have a food supply, we're going to have to spend points to establish a trade route between our community and this community. And so we're going to have to flesh out who this community is so we can have politics with them. But we have to spend 3 Bastion points to establish a trade route between here and here. And we need to be able to have some sort of a stronghold or military strength to be able to withstand pirate attacks that are going to come in and fuck with us as we come out of here with our resources. So the only time we have to worry about venturing out here is when we have a complication with our trade route. And we automatically know that complication is probably going to be pirates. So if we ever have a complication with our food resources, which could be a naturally occurring event, if we have a complication at third rank, let's check our document here real quick. Growth rate, lifestyle. Okay, so the lifestyle duration that we can maintain in a town is 1 season, which is 3 months, which is roughly 10 weeks, which is 10 Bastion turns. So if we have a trade route set up, it stays stable for 10 Bastion turns. And then we have to re-roll and potentially have a complication that occurs. The villages and hamlets, a hamlet can only maintain its lifestyle on a weekly basis. A village can only maintain its lifestyle for a month, which is 4 weeks. So 1 week, 4 weeks, and 12 weeks. Sorry, 1, 4, and 12. Right. So in our community, this location, number 6 and number 4, have to re-roll their lifestyle every week. And if their lifestyle depletes, it's because they don't have enough food. Number 2 and number 3 and number 5, they check every month, which is every 4 Bastion turns. They have to do a lifestyle check once a month. And if they fail, they're running low on food. So that's where their complications are going to come from. Everything in this is trade route and food resources, because they have this nasty cold snap that's suppressing the amount of crops that they can produce on rock 1, 2, and 3. They've expanded to rock 4 and 6 to expand their crop capabilities. So the team is going to have to focus their energy on expanding the resources in 4 and 6 so they can level up to 2nd rank and hopefully get Asteroid 5 up to 3rd rank so that it can match the crop capability that 1 used to have. 1 used to be able to provide enough food for the entire cluster, but it's now being repressed, so it can't produce enough food for everybody. So we're now having to stretch out to other asteroids to be able to diversify our food supplies. And number 5 is, how many points does number 5 have? One second. Number 5 has 19 points. Oh man. Okay, so if it can get to 21 points, then we'll be able to level up 5 to 3rd rank, and then it will be able to expand and provide enough crops for the entire community. So that expanding is probably your top priority, and then it needs to be protected. But it's going to take time to be able to level up that town, that village to become a town. It currently has a population of 800. Once it gets over 1,000, it'll be able to level up. We could migrate from asteroid 1 and migrate over to asteroid 2, and we'll be able to migrate. I forget what the migration pattern is. Once this gets to 3rd rank, we'll be able to move a minimum. We'll be able to move D10 times 100 migrants from number 1 to number 5. It's since it scales at 1,000 to 10,000, you reduce that by 10. So like if your population cap is 10,000, you're now dealing in scales of 1,000. The next size smaller than that is hundreds, and then tens, and then ones. So like a village, a hamlet has a maximum of 100 people. So that means that anytime you're attempting to actively migrate and increase the size of your population, it's going to increase by D10 per Bastion turn or per week. A village which has a maximum cap of 1,000, it can gain D10. It can roll D10 times 10, so up to a potential 100 people, and that would be on a monthly basis. And then a town which has a cap of 10,000, it can do 1d10, potentially adding single people, tens of people, and then hundreds of people to the town each season. And then a city increases each year, and a number of 1,000 per year with a maximum cap of 1,000, 100,000. And then a megapolis is unlimited in size. Anything above 100,000 is a megapolis, but it still only gains 1,000 people per year of population growth. So it takes a long time from, actually, I think it's 10,000 that it can grow per season, per year. But it takes a whole year for you to see those people cycle in. Thorps can increase, but we have to find people. We either have to cannibalize our own population in here and reroute them to another location, or we have to find new population in other communities to have them make the long journey to come join our cluster here, which isn't necessarily an easy sell. So we could potentially see, like if we can convert pirates, that could happen. We have the Unseelie Court over here. Maybe there's captives there that could get freed. Most likely, our largest migrant pattern is either going to come from over here, which is a nightmare zone between Mabar and the Shadowfell, or from this community over here. So these are our two likely locations that we could get migrants to come in and join our community. And these are friendly. This is a hostile community, so we don't necessarily want people coming in from there. And all these squares that don't have any marks on them are relatively unpopulated. So I think we made some good progress today. Let me go ahead and add in notes here real quick. I think this is where I'm going to stop for now. When we come back on Monday, we're going to we'll get to what I actually said we were going to do. Which is actually start fleshing out the communities. We have a large enough underpinning of how the world works at large for us to now be able to start boring into each of the individual communities and what problems each community has. So we had to go through all this effort for us to be able to find the larger world to see how it's impacting the communities. And now that we have like the Fernia versus Rizia conflict, we now see how the environment is shifting and changing the environment that's causing supply issues for the community, which becomes the most significant problem. That plus monsters and shit like that. So we're slowly building out a campaign that is multifaceted, that has geopolitical issues, that has supply and resource issues, and has monster issues. So that's basically diplomacy, exploration, and combat that we're dealing with. Exploration for finding more sources of resources, for us to expand the wealth of the area, maybe have some sort of a wealth boon that would attract people to us. The diplomacy issue of trying to maintain a trade negotiation with a foreign community that's willing to make trade with their excess. And then we have the combat, which is both pirates as well as monsters that can invade from the Fouled Sea. So it's getting interesting. Community. Let's see. Let's call it settlement. 1 through 3 are being influenced by Rizia, causing crop yields, suppressing crop, reducing crop yields by 1 rank. Forcing new colonies, new settlements to spread to near rocks. Settlements 4 and 6 are new settlements to develop crops. Settlement 5 is being groomed to become a town, rank 3 town, to replace settlement 1. Complication. Nice. Okay, so settlement 1 is the political capital of the cluster, settlement 5 is going to become the new seat of government once 1 migrates to 5. There is a significant rivalry between 5 gaining status and political power, while the leaders in Settlement 1 are attempting to usurp control, to perform a coup to take, to retain control of the cluster when they relocate to 5. That's an interesting conflict. There's already political and social norms that are being established over here on this rock. And when the political leaders that are currently housed in 1 are forced to migrate over to 5 because that's where the majority of people are moving to, they're going to run into political rivalry because maybe the way the constitution of this place is set up is that 1 doesn't automatically get to take control of 5. 1 and 4, the dice fucking love that idea. So for 1 to be able to move in and take control of 5 and retain thus control of the entire cluster, they're going to have, is it an election? Are we looking at an election? No. Is this a trade guild? Is this a trade guild setup? No. Is it a shogunate setup, like fiefs in a medieval setting? 1 and 3. Okay, so this is a shogunate over, like the actual shogunate is here, and this is a province. These are all each considered separate provinces, and the daimyo that rules all the provinces is currently seated in 1, but now they're being vacated. So they have to migrate to 2. What if 5 doesn't want the shogunate to move into and replace them? Do they have enough military capital to be able to resist a coup like that? No. But is it going to be hostile? They're not going to give up power easily. Is that true? No. They're going to enter negotiations. Ooh. So 5 wants to avoid open battle with 1 because they will lose. 5, however, wants to leverage political capital to become wealthier by acquiescing to 1's coup. However, so that's a no. So there's a loyalist organization that's resisting this. There are factions. Hey, Francois, it's good to see you. There are factions on 5 that oppose 1 migrating, oppose 1 taking 5 as the seat of power. Is this a criminal organization? Yes, it is. They don't want, the mafia doesn't want the seat of power in 5. 1 and 4. So absolutely. So they are going to attempt, is the mafia actively sabotaging efforts to expand 5 to become the new seat of power, even though it's completely suicidal to prevent that because of the cold snap that's killing crops? Yeah, 1 and 2. Okay, there's factions. So we're going to write this up as faction equals crime syndicate. Is the crime syndicate attached to the Pirates of the Lazar somehow? Yes, they are. Faction equals Lazar loyalists sabotaging development of 5 to seat new government. There you go. So now we have a criminal element on the ground in this asteroid community here that's sabotaging the efforts of bringing in people to expand the population and to move the capital from this asteroid to here. That's too much attention. They do not like that, and apparently there's a criminal element here that's attached to the Pirates of Lazar, which have currently gained control of this cluster here, which is blocking the path from this community to be able to provide the food needed until our community can get up and running. So we have somebody on the inside here that's sabotaging efforts of expanding our food base, which makes us continue to be reliant on this trade here that the pirates can then actively exploit. Is that what's happening? 6 on 6. This is exactly what's happening. Okay, so now we're starting to build a theme of why the pirates are motivated. We have now political conflict inside of our own community that needs to be resolved. There's external threats from monsters in the Poison Sea, and there's there's tension growing between our allied community over here and in our home community here, because the pirates are continuing to put pressure on any attempts to provide trade from here to our community and back. That's really interesting. I think that's a lot of fun. We already have enough shit happening in our, like, that's enough of a scenario for us to be able to build out multiple different adventures and potential campaign plots that the team would need to resolve. And then each turn, each week, each Bastion turn, a different event occurs, which we have detailed out here in the Bastion document here, which is linked down below. If we kick down here to Bastion events and complications, we roll a d20 each turn to see what's affecting our cluster in general. Like unsavory proposal, like maybe we have to make a deal with the pirates to get access to have free trade this turn, or like a rival partnership. Maybe another community is also having issues, like maybe the Unseelie Court, which is located way over here, is somehow becoming savvy to this conflict that's over here and wants to get involved. And now it's starting to make fey arrangements and make fairy deals. And maybe we start seeing elves appearing in this area, because currently it's just Warforged, gnomes, and dwarves. We don't have any Eladrin or Shadakai that are in this area. But maybe, like, if that were the role that we came up with, rival partnership, maybe we would start seeing, we want to create we'll help keep the Lazarian pirates off of you, but now we want, like, to have an embassy here or something like that. We'll see what crops up. But that could be like a random event that happens this turn that's going to affect all the politics and all the combat and all the things that, like, now maybe there's like clashes between elven culture and gnomish culture that's causing unrest that needs to be kept an eye on, and the team has to decide how are the communities going to resolve those conflicts, while you're also, like, every 4 sessions, like we have 3-hour sessions. Every 4 sessions is 1 Bastion turn, and we can have as many adventures and combats and skirmishes and complications and exploration that arise in there. And at the end of that 4th session, so basically like once a month in the real world, we have a Bastion turn that updates our campaign world every week. we're going to play from level 5 to 13, which is going to be 8 levels. I think the plan would be to gain a level each month. So we'd have an 8-month campaign, and that's also going to be 8 Bastion turns. So over the course of those 8 Bastion turns, the team is going to expand the communities and work out the complications of the geopolitics, fight off monsters in our Gundam and fighter craft, and see what tragedies befall us. That sounds like a pretty stocked up campaign of conflicts that should be a lot of fun to run for a little while. I don't see it running like I said, level 5 to 13. It's just a little vignette. It's just a micro campaign. It's not going to be a full level 1 to 20. Those take about a year for me to build out. Yeah, I think I like this. This sounds like a lot of fun. So that's where we're at. When we come back next time, we're going to start fleshing out who our allied community is up over here. We're going to dive in and start building out the resources for each of our communities here, knowing that these are that 1, 2, and 3 are declining, and that 4, 5, and 6 have to improve to be able for this cluster to remain active. And then we can start looking at like some of these little these little rogue asteroids that aren't being used for anything yet, and we can maybe look at some of these external poison clusters that are out here to take a look at how they might operate. So that's it for now, though. It's oh my god, it's almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's time for me to kick out of here. So thanks a lot for everybody who's been hanging out with me. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. We're going to do more Eberron Forest. We're doing a Bob Ross Forest for the Eldine Reaches. And yeah, so we're gonna continue working on that, and then Saturday morning, we're going to. I've paused play testing on my Saturday morning team because I need to update the martial power system. So we're going to get back into the martial power document, update the different powers, class features, and subclass features that we see need adjusting as a result of the play testing that we've been having to improve that document, and then we'll be able to build out another campaign and dive into it. So, yeah. So, thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with me. If you think this stuff is cool and you want to see more, like and subscribe. Check out my books that are linked down below. You can check out all these documents that I'm using to create this campaign. They're all works in progress being developed that will eventually become books that we'll be publishing on the DMsGuild for Spelljammer, for Martial Powers, for the Bastion Campaign, and for Eberron. And yeah, there we go. So thanks a lot, guys. Maybe with any luck, I'll see some of you guys tomorrow. So cheers all.